Hi, thank you for joining me today. This is Charlotte Bergman. I am the host of Political Talk with Charlotte. I hope many of you will consider enjoying this show while you're having your lunch. Want to thank you for joining me. The show airs, as many of you know, on each Thursday at noon. That's noon Central Time. We're going to talk about some of the benefits that occurred as a result of the recent passing of major legislation. I think, from what I understood, there were 7 bills that were consolidated to make one big, beautiful bill. But the problem is there are so many lies that are going on about the bill. And I just wanted to spend a little time and talk to you about what's actually in the bill. So we're going to talk about some of the people who should receive some of the benefits and some of the people who shouldn't. And yes, if I make you angry, that's good. We all need to be challenged in terms of how we think. Um, in terms of the show notes, okay, you can reach me via email at charlotte@charlottebergman.com. You don't like what I've said, send me an email. Reach me on both my Facebook pages, Elect Bergman or charlotte.bergman.9. I just recently was able to realize that there were over 10,000 people that were on my personal page. Thank you, Facebook, for finally being honest and stopping many of the censoring and the ghosting. On Bitchute, you can join us at Political Talk with Charlotte, on Twitter at Elect Bergman, on YouTube at Bergman for Congress. Guys, this show is going to be raw, and I hope I step on some toes. If you're new to the channel, leave a message or a comment and subscribe to my channels on Facebook and or Rumble. Please help us grow and to get this message out, because I'm going to show you something I believe everybody's going to be pissed at what they see. So, without further ado, let's get this show started. And we are back. Noni, thank you for joining me today. Now, that's a good sign. That means we're going to have a terrific show. And I expect some really profound comments from you. So let's get this show started, because it may be a little bit longer than I really want it to be, but there are some things that really need to be discussed. I have spent the last 6 weeks being ill with pain after pain after pain. Today, I feel no pain, but I'm on the road to recovery. Not quite there yet, but on the road to recovery. Please consider, if you hadn't, read my book, order my book from Amazon or any online bookstore, The Last Trumpet in the Battle for America, and you will understand where I'm coming from when I discuss the things that I do discuss. I'm going to show you guys a picture of a man, and you tell me if you're familiar, if you've ever seen this guy before. That's right. That is Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was the president of the United States. I think he was elected in 1992. And in 1996, guess what? He was the Democrat president that signed the Welfare Reform Act. Now, I'll tell you what, I knew at that time a number of people who were receiving welfare, and they changed. They changed quite a bit after that bill was passed. But let's hear what is being said about Bill Clinton and this bill.
Did you know that Bill Clinton signed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, fundamentally transforming the U.S. welfare system? This legislation aimed to reduce dependency on government assistance by promoting work and personal responsibility.
That's what we are experiencing now. This bill that was passed, The one big beautiful bill, its purpose was to get people off of welfare, to encourage independence, to encourage good work ethics, and to make people proud again. But let's go over what we've been seeing lately in terms of people and their attitudes on welfare. Let's see if I can bring this up because when I was doing my research, I was really shocked at some of the callous statements that were made as a result of you and I going out in order to help people to experience the good life.
Okay, y'all just mad because I get 3 canned food stamps. So what? I get all kind of snacks while I'm sitting here chilling or whatever, paying no bills. No bills. I'm on government assistance. My son back there with his snacks. Government assistance, 3 canned food.
I just got a letter from DHS. They have cut off my food stamps, cash assistance, disability for me, all 6 of my kids, and my Section 8. What do they expect me to do? I can't go out and get a job. I have been getting welfare since I was 19 years old.
Okay, the young lady that we just heard about, she looked able-bodied to me. Did she look that way to you? We're going to dive into a little bit more information about her a little bit later. But let me explain to you what was in the 1992 Welfare Reform Act. In 1996, I'm sorry, 1996. In 1996, President Bill Clinton signed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. It overhauled the U.S. welfare system by replacing the aid to families with dependent children and the temporary assistance for needy families. And you'll find out a little bit more about this. This reform aimed to reduce dependency on government assistance by imposing work requirements. Work requirements, where have we heard that before? And limiting the duration of benefits. Key features was to end, at that time, the assistance that people were receiving was called AFDC, American for Dependency Act, I think, dependent children. Anyway, this program was repealed, which had provided cash assistance to low-income families. Cash assistance to low-income families. And then the TANF was established. It was a time-limited benefit. All of this was signed into law by Bill Clinton, requiring recipients to work or participate in job training to receive assistance. I think that's what the big new beautiful bill. Hi, how are you? GOCO, thank you for joining us. All of this is like history repeating itself, isn't it? Okay, so the state controlled more authority to design and administer their welfare program, receiving federal block grants to fund TANL. So, what Bill Clinton and the House members, the Congress was doing, was trying to get federal government from doling out money to people and to send it back to the states for the states to control. That was meant to reduce dependency. The reform was aimed to decrease reliance on government assistance by encouraging, guess what? Employment. I think in the big new beautiful bill, they're saying, you mean no government people? We are going to force you guys to work, what is it, 20 hours a week or go to school, a month, 20 hours? Is that correct? And did I get those numbers correct? 20 hours? Anyway, let's get back to the 1996 welfare reform signed by Bill Clinton. It was meant to reduce dependency. It was to support families. It's sought to provide support to families while promoting self-sufficiency. It limited benefits for a 5-year lifetime limit. Right now we got people who their children, and the family members continue to live off of these benefits. They were seeking to have a decline in the welfare caseloads. So between 1994 and 2004, welfare caseloads dropped by 60%. This was indicating a significant reduction in the number of families relying on welfare. They were supposed to have gotten a job. Bill Clinton's 1996 Welfare Reform Act failed. It failed miserably. The intention was good, and I hope that this Congress, which has implemented the One Big Beautiful Bill, I hope they understand that there is the potential for failure. And you know what that failure is? You want to know why the 1996 Welfare Reform Bill didn't work? It didn't work because Bill Clinton was the president who did not understand what it meant to create jobs. It failed because jobs at that time, think back in 1996, because I lost my job shortly after that, jobs were being shipped overseas. Jobs were being shipped overseas. And people could not find work. What is different now? Well, we'll discuss that a little later. When we discuss the veteran benefits, the Social Security benefits, and et cetera, et cetera. But let me share with you guys that the Trump administration has identified the number of people that needs to come off of those programs. And I want to show you guys, when I showed you a few months ago, not only were the Joe Biden's administration encouraging people to be on welfare because they were trying to break the United States economy. That was an intentional attempt to, whoa, what is going on here? Oh my gosh, David, I love it. I'm going to read what you got to say. There's a lot there, but let me just show this video real fast so you can kind of relate to what I'm saying. Back a few months ago, and especially in Chicago and New York and various places, Americans were upset because the federal government was attempting to replace Americans with illegal immigrants who had come across the border illegally, but they were benefiting from those illegal acts. Okay, but back during that time, a lady went shopping and she left her receipt and somebody saw her receipt. So I am going to show you guys this receipt.
This receipt is going viral from a bodega in New York that is being reported to have been left behind by a Venezuelan migrant woman. The now viral receipt has shocked thousands and resulted in some very strong political opinions based on the content on the receipt.
Have y'all seen this receipt that's going viral from a bodega where they're saying a Venezuelan woman left this receipt behind showing an EBT food stamp balance of $13,401.82 and an EBT cash balance of $4,498.85? I just went down this rabbit hole and you are not going to believe what I found. So I started off here. This young lady was talking about a program in New York where the migrants were receiving all of this free food and they said that food was not culturally acceptable. So they started throwing it away. So the city of New York said, okay, fine, we'll just give y'all actual money. Program started out helping 500 migrant families. They putting these people up in hotels and they giving them these cards that they are supposed to only use at bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets, convenience stores, and they're supposed to sign a piece of paper saying, "I swear I'm only going to use it at a bodega, a grocery store, a supermarket, a convenience store, and to buy baby supplies." And they're threatening to kick them out of the program if they don't only spend the money on these things. But my thing is, if the card can swipe at Neiman Marcus, they're going to be at Neiman Marcus. The card should only work where the card is supposed to work.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Okay, guys. All of that money was being given to illegal immigrants. And I'm telling you what, the one big beautiful bill was signed on July 4th. I have been shopping. When I go into the grocery store, what I'm seeing now, unlike before, when the government was paying people to come over to the United States, I'm seeing prices being lowered. I'm seeing all types of Americans. I'm walking around and I'm hearing only English instead of other foreign languages. And I don't have a problem with people speaking their other languages. David, I've got to read this. I'm going to copy it and read it later. But we have got to take our country back. In addition to the one big beautiful bill, what President Trump is doing to set the United States up for progress, for us to be successful, is the tariffs are now coming in, and we have gone from a deficit to a surplus. I think it's 27 billion. Can somebody check that out for me? How much are we receiving now? How much of a increase, a surplus, are we receiving now compared to when Joe Biden was in office? Now, the big beautiful bill isn't perfect, but it's a massive win and a major step forward in putting the power back into the hands of the people. The Medicaid cuts are being discussed by people, and I want to show you guys what I saw, which shocked the crap out of me this week. We had a man of the cloth, several men of the cloth in Memphis, Tennessee, who decided to sell out their cloth for not doing things necessary to make people's lives better. As I said, the big beautiful bill isn't perfect, but it's a massive win. The Medicare cuts were essential, but now these people are using it as a tool to drive fear into the hearts of people and to tell them that people would die if their Medicaid is stripped. And that is not true. I have got to show you guys this video. It just blew me away. In Memphis, Tennessee, you had people going to City Hall, to Senator Bill Hagerty's office. Many of these are your white-haired former liberals of the 60s that have now gotten old. They have not learned what it takes to make this country great. You had ministers, you had probably church members of these ministers' churches. Oh my gosh. And they're out there and they don't know what's going on.
Crowd carrying coffins and a message pushed their way through the streets of downtown Memphis to a U.S. Senator's office today. Thanks for joining us this evening at 6. I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. They're calling it the Moral Monday Movement in opposition to President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Protesters told WREG's Shay Arthur they believe that bill could have deadly consequences.
A somber sight, coffins carried in downtown Memphis.
Want Jesus to walk with me.
I want to stop this for a second because it just irks me. We cannot make progress in our country because everybody wants to go back to 1968. This is not 1968. This is 2025. Let's get over 1968 and let's move forward because we made some mistakes from 1968 until 1925.
A large group of people, led by Bishop William Barber II and repairers of the breach, met in front of City Hall in the Federal Building.
We have come today to Memphis and 11 other southern states to dramatize the devastating impact that this bill that the U.S. Congress recently passed will have on poor and low-income communities.
Through prayer,
we thank you for the spirit that is moving right now in this space,
uniting those with different backgrounds.
Gracias porque aquí estamos todos reunidos.
Please, lady, learn English. Please learn English. Come over to the United States. Respect our rules. Assimilate so that we can be one big melting pot from different people coming together as one.
Speakers talked about the impact of recent immigration raids and what they believe will be the health effects of the recent passage of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill.
Closing rural hospitals, taking Medicaid away from people, taking SNAP and free lunch programs. And we're here today with these coffins in the background to demonstrate that people will die as a result of this bill having been passed.
There you go, guys. That's what Democrats like to say all the time. People will die. And they also say the One Big Beautiful Bill is for the rich. And they're scaring people to death. And as I share with people, read the bill. Read the bill and understand that there are a lot of benefits in it for pretty much everybody. David, I haven't forgotten what you have posted. Folks, what he's saying is just not false. They're deranged. The truth is the One Big Beautiful Bill protects eligible Americans on federal welfare. It protects Americans, including Medicare, Medicaid. I remember while the Senate and the House were voting on the bill, President Trump said, make sure, and I'm saying it the nice way, don't touch Medicaid. It refocuses resources on the people Medicaid was always intended to serve. Pregnant women, children, people with disability, low-income seniors, and the most vulnerable in our communities. That's what the left won't tell you. That's what those pastors who claim to be pastors won't tell you. And they're doing it because they hadn't read the bill. Over the past 10 years, the federal government admits that over half a trillion dollars in Medicaid payments, guess what, have been improperly paid. Just last year, taxpayers shelled out $56 billion in benefits to able-bodied adults gaming the system and illegals. That's why this bill includes common sense work requirements. You don't have a small child. You're not disabled. You're not a senior. Oh, it's 20 hours a week. Okay. 20 hours a week is expected. And that 20-hour include you working, looking for work, going to school, volunteering, doing all of those things, and providing at least 20 hours a week. What's wrong with that? That's not harsh. It's fair. And it's exactly how we preserve the safety net for the people who actually need it. And guess what, guys? There are some really good things in this bill. In June, and this is why I said this bill is going to be successful, whereas Bill Clinton's bill was not successful. Our Treasury Department stated in June that we had a surplus of $27 billion. And it was driven in part by increased tariff collections. Tariff collection. The surplus is a notable contrast to the $316 billion deficit, which was recorded in May. So the tariffs are working. So simultaneously getting people off of the government roles that are able-bodied, that could work or go to school for at least 20 hours a week. Get people to do that. That will bring in money to the Treasury, and that will bring in a surplus instead of deficits. President Trump, one big beautiful bill prohibits illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid and SNAP benefits and will establish work requirements for Medicaid and SNAP. It's not going to affect these women that have small children under 7. You've got small children under 7, they could potentially be in school. You can work 20 hours, do your 20 hours a week. That's over 5 days, 20 hours over 5 days. That's like 4 hours a day. You can get home and be with your children when they get out of school. With these requirements, that's going to benefit citizens who need the services the most. But the main thing, able-bodied men and women will not be sitting back playing games or becoming illegal immigrants and spending the money that taxpayers pay for. Taking illegals off of Medicare and Medicaid and stopping taxpayer subsidies from being used for genital mutilation of children is essential. How many people are President Trump planning to cut from SNAP? I'll tell you right now. He's planning to cut benefits for 688,000 people. That's not that many compared to how many people there are in this country. I want you to hear what this lady has to say about people who will not work. Who will not work. We got to work, guys. We got to work. Don't you agree with me? We have got to work. The Bible says so.
So look, Paul warned people to stay away from people who don't want to work. You got to work. If you don't work, you don't eat. Period. Brothers and sisters, here's a command we give you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Keep away from every believer who doesn't want to work. Keep away from anyone who doesn't live up to the teachings you received from us. You know how you should follow our example. We worked when we were with you. We didn't eat anyone's food without paying for it. In fact, it was just the opposite. We worked night and day. We worked very hard so that we wouldn't cause any expense to any of you. Why? Because God, people don't let people get over on each other. We don't do that. We don't do that. We add to you some way, somehow. So look, Paul warned people to stay away from people who don't want to work.
And see, you had ministers in Memphis basically encouraging people who are upset because they're going to have to work, that they're going to die. They're telling people you're going to die, or this is the worst thing that can happen to them. This really is the best thing that can happen to people who are able to work. This is supposed to start in September. I want to talk to some people who definitely deserve to receive the benefits. I want to see how many of those have been kicked off their benefits. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, let's discuss the veteran benefits. President Trump's legislative agenda continues to reshape federal spending, with House Republicans proposing a $453 billion bill for the Department of Veterans Affairs in fiscal year 2026. That's $453 billion. That's more money added to help people, our veterans. Social Security benefits. Significant tax relief for American seniors are on the horizon. The Trump administration and Social Security Administration, they celebrate the bill's passage with claims that it delivers no tax on Social Security for the majority of older Americans. In a statement, the Social Security Administration declared the law a historic step forward. You hear that, pastors in Memphis? You hear that, corrupt politicians who are trying to scare people? Nearly 90% of Social Security benefactors will no longer pay federal income taxes on their benefits. I say that's a good thing. Senior benefits. The One Big Beautiful Bill now allows taxpayers age 65 or older to deduct an additional $6,000 from their taxable income. You can deduct up to an additional $6,000. The deduction phases out at least 6% rate for individual filers whose income is more than $75,000 or joint filers whose income exceeds $150,000. Neither of those categories of people are the rich. Here's another good thing. I remember as a young wife, when our children were younger, I used to have a good time with the credit card because, see, we used to be able to deduct credit card interest. Well, now, if you purchase a car and that car is built in America with American parts, guess what? You're going to be allowed to deduct the interest. The One Big Beautiful Bill implements a new temporary tax provision allowing taxpayers, whether taking the standard deduction or itemizing, to deduct up to $10,000 for certain auto loans on vehicles assembled in the United States through 2028. ATVs, trailers, and campers are not eligible for the deduction, but passenger vehicles, vans, vehicles you use for your family or getting back and forth to work, you will be able to deduct up to $10,000. Final assembly of the vehicle must occur in the United States. So this is what you call America First, building in America. And you will be benefited from your purchase and you will receive an deduction. And of course, the business, the car dealerships, the manufacturers are going to benefit too. So to qualify for the deduction, the loan must be the vehicle's first, and the taxpayer must be the original owner. The deduction phased out at a rate of $200 for each $1,000 of income earned above $100,000 or $200,000 for joint filers. Here's another good thing about that big new beautiful bill. For those parents who are concerned about where their children attend schools, your child will be able to go to any school you want them to go to because the money is going to follow the child. And the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. has been phased out. The big, beautiful bill isn't perfect, but it's a massive win. It's a major step forward in cutting the power, putting the power back into the hands of the people. I like that. I like that. I hope you guys like what is happening in our nation. Let's hear what the Trump administration has to say.
Do government assistance programs need tighter restrictions? We're asking because the Trump administration has just approved a stricter rule that will affect who can receive food stamps under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or better known as SNAP. So now, take a look at this. Under current law, able-bodied adults ages 18 to 49 with no dependents cannot receive benefits for more than 3 months over a 3-year period unless they are working or enrolled in an education program for 80 hours a month. States have been able to get around that time requirement with waivers, but the new rule, which takes effect next April, clamps down on many exemptions. Also, the USDA estimates 688,000 people will lose benefits. That's nearly the population of Mesa and Tempe combined. And this new rule is just part one of a 3-step process. By the time it's entirely rolled out, nearly 4 million people could lose their benefits, according to analysis by the Urban Institute. So what does that mean? This will save the government and taxpayers $5.5 billion over the next 5 years. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue says the goal is to move food stamp recipients toward, quote, self-sufficiency and into employment. However, it does seem like a strong economy is already helping with that. As of August, 1.7 million fewer people receive food stamps than last year. Even still, 36.4 million people, more than 1 in 10 in the U.S., receive food stamps. Thousands of people facing food insecurity in our state rely on other resources for help, like food banks. We asked the folks over at St. Vincent de Paul how these new regulations will impact those families. Here's Mary Chow Thompson.
When I hear about these cuts, I think about the families that come to our dining room who are trying to make ends meet. A lot of them have jobs.
So there are going to be always people who are going to try to help. But I just want to encourage you guys. This is going to be a new period in our lifestyles. I think we can make something really good out of it, especially if many of you remember, like I remember during COVID, when there would be restaurants that you would attend and you would go to, and the restaurants began to have to shut down because they couldn't find anybody to work because people were making so much money. Working is good for you. Working makes you a better citizen. Working makes you more responsible. Working sets a good example for the next generation. This bill would not be like Bill Clinton 1996 Welfare Reform Act, because we are addressing multiple issues at the same time. You're right, Noni. The government is not a charity, it's a safety net that's temporary. I think we should give more money to the churches to help people. This is what Noni had to say. I've read it to you, and I agree with you. The church will help you and probably lead you to the Lord, pray with you, encourage you. The government gives you money. They're going to want you to accept your child being mutilated or your child reading books that are not good for them, or drag queens being in their facilities, or during COVID when school systems wanted to receive money. The federal government has stipulations that they had to adhere to, which forced the teachers and the children to do certain things that weren't always necessary to take away their freedom. You give your freedom away, you allow someone to take care of you, they can easily take it away from you. Now let me go back and let me see if I can read some of what David said. He wrote a lot. He says, also in the big Wiggly bill, this is happening now. The proposed budget for immigration and custom enforcement reveals a nation in the process of constructing what can only be described as a modern enforcement apparatus of unprecedented scope and power. The numbers tell a story that transcends mere budgetary politics. Well, David posted this on my page, so if you're interested in reading it, certainly go ahead and read it. ICE has a job to do. The Supreme Court is supporting this attempt, but the more people become Americans and adhere to American standards and live as Americans and work, we can make this place a better place to live, work, and play for not just current Americans, but even new Americans that are coming into our country. Read what David has to say. My show is not going to be, oh, I'm already running over anyway. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to our next show. I'm asking that you share my show with your friends and family and friends who really are being confused by what is in the big, beautiful bill. And although I didn't cover everything, I did bring up some major points. So you guys enjoy yourselves. Realize that summer is here. That means the days are getting shorter, and every night the days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And before you know it, it's going to be getting dark at around 4:30ish or so. And we keep on. So enjoy this day, enjoy this time, even enjoy this heat. It's going to be hot today, but tomorrow it promises to not be quite as hot. But I love you guys, and I do appreciate you guys. And there's so much happening in our country. Please remember to pray for our nation. Pray for your friends, your neighbors, your church members, your family members. Pray for them and trust that God has not turned his back on us and he wants the best for us. And as Paul said, you want to eat, you need to work. So I appreciate your comments, appreciate your loyalty, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. I love you.